welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today we are bringing you our Right For You, Wrong For You on ISS Vanguard. A few important notes to make at the very beginning of this video. First off, we have finished about 40 hours worth of total gameplay of this game. That's not just sitting down and playing, but also the setup, the organization, the learning the rules, all that nonsense. We'll have a lot of other videos out that you can check to see our experience overall. Second off, we oftentimes do work with Awaken Realms. Of course, our review videos are not sponsored at all, but we have done some paid work in relation to this title. So please keep that in mind, or don't watch if that bothers you. Outside of that, this is our Right For You, Wrong For You format, where we break down 7 different categories that we consider when deciding if a game should or should not be in our permanent collection.
For sure.
Those are going to be the overview of the game, the breakdown of the theme, a discussion about the accessibility, an analysis of the gameplay, a quick look at the modes of play, a conversation about whether or not it's innovative, and then finally, a verdict on the price. We have started adding, to the very end of this conversation, our own personal verdict. Is this game right for us or not? So, if you want to skip to just our biased opinion, I suppose, hop in to the very end of this video.
There you go.
Quick overview of this game, West. What's happening in ISS Vanguard?
So we are on a big ship because we found out that an alien technology managed to make it to the Earth. We found out somehow that related to the DNA strands within our entire body, and we're trying to figure out what that means, why it's there, and all that kind of stuff. And then we follow this out to this big planet, and we come to find out that, oh, in fact, there's other people and builders out here, and we need to explore more and get more information about them.
Yeah, it's a 1 to 4 player exploration game in that Awaken Realms framework. It does a few things that are very unique. For instance, we have a full management and ship phase that'll update the personality, the crew, and also the technology you're developing as you explore. We have an exploration phase with a flipbook system that has a lot of cards that overlay, that start developing and creating the landscape that you're exploring, so the land will actually change underneath your feet while you're playing the game. And you have a lot of nuance, dice rolling, card mitigation, and character, unique character custom abilities that go into the puzzle that you're trying to solve. Overall, this is more of a settlement survival game. It's not about one individual hero than it is about a exploration or journey. You're trying to make sure your ship, the ISS Vanguard, is equipped with the research, the technology, and the resources it needs to get to the end of the storyline, whatever that might be. Let's move down and talk about the theme of this game. Probably the first thing that I consider when looking at whether or not a game is going to be right for me or wrong for me. What's the overarching concept of the theme?
Exploration. Exploration, sci-fi exploration, and there's also, I mean, there's part of it that's exploration of the actual worlds that you're technically on, but there's also planetary exploration where you're going to different solar systems and seeing different things in those different areas, and each one of the solar systems is different.
This is a Wild West style giant, like, go out and discover something new, and there is new stuff around every corner. If you have that heart and that desire of exploration in you, if you love games that are introducing or resolving things in ways that were maybe unexpected, or showing you things that you just never imagined possible or didn't see coming, ISS Vanguard is likely going to be a game that is right for you.
For sure.
Moving on down, let's talk about accessibility. How easy is this game to table? How long does it take to play? What is the price you're paying to get this game to the table when it comes to time and when it comes to commitment?
Yeah, so I think the setup time, if you're bringing it out and it hasn't been out before, you're looking at least 30 minutes or so of basic setup time, getting your table set, getting everything out the way it's supposed to be. The unique thing about this is it does allow you to actually save the game, so you can play through the ship phase, you can play through the exploration phase, the landing phase, and those two things together, probably about 2.5 hours if you're doing both of them together. But you don't have to. That's part of what makes it interesting. I really feel like you should do that because I think it's vitally important. So it does have quite a bit of time that's required of it. And if you are tabling it and then putting it all away again, you're probably looking at a good 3 hours.
Yeah. It's one of those games that is a long, committed campaign game. I would say a solid 6-month period of time with an active game group, or maybe 2 to 3 months if you're a solo player, to journey through and explore everything that's in front of you here. We're talking about 80 hours worth of play in our experience. We feel like we were maybe
about halfway.
Towards that halfway mark of where we'd gotten in our campaign, but we're not entirely sure. The replayability value is also one of those things to consider. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So if you have a vault to set your game up in, one, that'll make this a lot easier. Or if you have a history of getting campaign games back from the shelf onto the table often, or you have a committed game group, the accessibility here is really not going to be too overwhelming. It does a good job at saving, good job at upkeeping, and good job at getting to the table. However, if you've never played a campaign game before and you don't have a good dedicated space to really commit to it, ISS Vanguard might be one of those games that takes up such a big footprint and is just enough nuanced when it comes to pulling it back off the shelf and refreshing on those rules that it might not be accessible for you.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind before you decide to pick this game up. Moving down to the actual gameplay, and not what the gameplay is, but what elements of the gameplay might make this right or wrong for you.
Sure. So if you are that type of person who really enjoys the exploration phase where you're going out, checking out different things, throwing dice, opening new cards, flipping up different situations, you are going to love the landing phase. The exploration of the landing areas is fantastic. It is done extremely, extremely well.
Now, the interesting thing, if you're the type of person that loves that wild, crazy exploration, there's a chance you will
You're going to hate
this phase. But if you're a person that loves nuanced choice, discussion, slotting things into cards, organizing your home desk, and buying extra office supplies just so you can put them away in the proper order.
Oh man, you're gonna love
the ship phase.
It's amazing.
This is a very interesting game because two of the most unique gameplay systems in it actually conflict with each other when it comes to the normal player base.
Very much.
And
so.
You almost want a two-player system that's a hybrid of these personalities. West and I we're not that.
We're not
we
that.
both loved dice chucking and exploring the game system.
So much fun.
Whereas like the nuance of pulling cards and putting them in the slot
not great.
Is very important and also not our favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Me playing with this with Shira, who is very precision oriented,
would have been amazing.
Might be
would have been
an
amazing.
entirely different experience.
Yeah.
And this is actually a game that I intend to get off the shelf with her.
Yeah.
Because she might love that combination, and it might make the game easier for me to play because she's there supporting and carrying me when I'm just not caring what's about to happen.
Please get to the next part.
Can we just get to the story?
Please.
I want to see the vines and wrap around my brittle spine just a little bit closer.
Yes.
So, outside of that, are there any other big elements of gameplay that are worth mentioning? Because those are the two major parts of the gameplay here that people have to decide what they're the most invested in and if they're willing to compromise on behalf of one or the other.
The other thing I would say as far as gameplay goes is this storybook is amazing.
It's really well written.
The ink's incredibly well written, very vivid language. Every different thing that we did was extremely well put together. I really believe that this is vitally, it's a vital part of the game that makes it very entertaining.
And I think the last thing for me really comes down to the process of how these worlds develop and how the game continues to surprise you as you explore. This game is full of nooks and crannies and cool buttons to press, and there will be consequences to those actions.
Guaranteed.
And those consequences are really satisfying to experience. So from an experiential standpoint, there are moments that we've had in this game that we've been thrilled to share with you all, and we keep talking about privately off camera as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So to wrap all that up, I think the one most important thing to focus on here is not actually the exploration here. This part's going to be good, and most people who enjoy any bit of board gaming will find something to enjoy in there. The question for you is, can I deal with 30 to 45 minutes of organization, structure, processing that does have story, does have consequence, is very innovative, is very unique, and at the same time, will you, as a solo player, as a two-player team, find yourself getting dragged down by a little bit more of the structure of ISS Vanguard? Or, like Shira, are you super excited about organizing your office supplies? If you are, this is probably the right game for you. In a way that most other campaign games probably aren't. All right, moving down. Modes of play. How can you play this game? How would you recommend playing this game? What is the experience of play in that sense like?
I would say that this game plays extremely well at 2 players. I think that's probably
the right 2 players.
Yeah, the right 2 players. I think that is the perfect amount of people to play this game because you have one person who's managing the cards and managing slotting things into the book. You have the other person reading the log and taking care of the other things.
If you have a really dedicated 3 or 4 player group, I wouldn't tell you not to play ISS Vanguard, but the problem is during the ship phase of the game, you will have about 30 minutes where 2 of you don't matter. 2 of you will be very invested, and the game tries to make the other players care or important by giving them decisions they have to resolve. But if you're playing a cooperative game, everyone should be cooperatively deciding.
Yes.
And so unless you're reading the text yourself or giving people specific roles to play while they play this game, like some others do, like for instance Frostpunk gives everyone a role to play,
right.
a part of the game to conduct.
Yep, so you're all staying interested.
Which ISS Vanguard tries to do. I think 3 and 4, you need a dedicated game group to really get there.
Yeah, and I also think that at 1, the ship management phase will bog down quite a bit because you're going to be searching for cards, you're going to be reading logs, you're going to be looking for more cards, putting things away. There's
but the nuance of decision might be just enough to make you super satisfied. So, if you love tactical and very specific decision making, solo player might be amazing for you. If you have a big game group that is consistent and ready to dive into another campaign because they just finished up another big one, ISS Vanguard is one to consider. But if you're just getting into your first campaign game and you're a little intimidated by the size and scale of some of them, 2-player is really the sweet spot for you. Do you have that friend or that partner that's willing to sit down and dive in? If so, ISS Vanguard, it still might be right for you.
Yep.
Let's talk about innovation.
Innovation.
Is this game innovative?
Yes.
If it is, how? If it is not, does it matter?
Yes, this is definitely an innovative game, and as much as we've been lagging and just making fun of the ship book, this is very innovative, because I will tell you as a player who does not like organization stuff, the upkeep phase of any campaign game just drives me crazy. This makes it tolerable for me, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
This is done extremely well. All the rules are in the place for what you're going to do. It's flipping back and forth to the areas that you need to go to. It has made it very simple and very clean, and I'll even say, in a way, elegant, getting from one place to another, which is saying something about a very difficult situation.
This ship book gives your decision-making and the consequences of your decision-making way more power and agency than I think any game really has a right to do. And it gives you consequences for all these little things happening in the ecosystem and the culture of your ship. And I really do love that. As far as storytelling goes, this enhances every element of the game. As far as consequences and like long-term payoff goes, this enhances every element of the game. And I don't know of another game that, especially in this campaign space, that does this type of system as well as ISS Vanguard does.
For sure.
Really is remarkable, and remarkable while being complex and yet playable.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hats off thing. So if you're looking for a game that is adding something truly innovative to the experience of play, ISS Vanguard might be right for you. And on top of that, my other caveat, like I said earlier, if you're looking for something that is introducing potentially more detail-oriented game players to a campaign setting, ISS Vanguard may be the way to get them into this type of environment. Where other games just give you a wall of text and a wall of story, and really doesn't give them the stuff that they get pleasure out of as much.
True.
Moving on down to the final question, price point. Now, this is one of those games that you really can't get, I believe, at the moment. There will probably be more opportunities to get access to this. But it's an Awakened Realms title, full of minis, full of scale, full of deluxified components. Do we think, and I don't know the official price point.
I can probably look it up.
You want to look it up real quick?
Yeah, I'll look it up real quick.
So there's a few variants that go into the official price point of this. You have all the little expansion pieces. You have some of the deluxified things like player mats and stuff like that. And you have stuff like the glittery deluxified dice. And, of course, the conversation around Sundrop miniatures, which is always a conversation that is worth having. But in ISS Vanguard, because of things like the shiny blue they've added on top, it's one of those conversations that might be worth having just a little bit more. What was the price point of this?
So I backed all in except for I didn't get the pretty blue colors, and it was $347.
So
that included shipping, though.
What do you think about that price point? Like, I think for what you're getting and the scale and scope of this game,
it's
not actually a bad price.
It's not a bad price.
But I do think you need to be very cautious as a consumer as to whether or not you'll actually play this.
Yeah, and there are also things that you probably don't need that cost additional money, like the neoprene mats. You don't necessarily need those things. We got these upgraded minis that just hold dice. You probably don't need them. They're super cool, and I use them. You don't need them.
I do think Sundrop is the right way to go with this.
I do 100% agree with that.
And I also think that these little cases here actually enhance the gameplay experience quite a bit because they're easier to organize and pull things out of than the ones that actually come in the box itself.
Also agree.
I don't even know where those are. I don't think we have them anymore. That would have been something to complain about. My fat little fingers can't get down inside of those things.
For sure. Yeah, so $150 got you everything except for the like neoprene mats and some of the Sundrop stuff.
150 is really competitive for what you're getting in this game.
Very competitive.
I would say if you have an opportunity to pick this up, either base game at that $80 to $120 range or all in, even without deluxeified components, at that $150 range, and you believe this is a game you will play, I think there's no brainer to dive into this.
Yeah, for sure.
So, we have established whether or not this game is potentially right for you or wrong for you. Now, West, very quickly, let's let them know whether or not this game was right for us or wrong for us. This is my copy.
Right.
You still have yours coming in during second wave.
I have first wave already, and I have second wave still coming in after that. So I paid
West
for 2-wave
Todd,
shipping.
Is ISS Vanguard the right game for you?
It is not the right game for me, and the main reason for that is because I've played it here once already, and I don't necessarily see myself with my family or with my game group getting it back out onto the table.
Why is that?
Because I really wanted to play through it once, and I felt like that was really good, and I enjoyed that immensely. But I feel like that at the same time, for me, the management phase of this was a bit of a drag for me, even though this made it very interesting and had some really good things to it.
Even though we haven't seen the end of the story, we saw the end of our story, but not the whole story as a whole.
Yeah, I still definitely want to see the end of the story. And I'll watch you and Shira play it.
So he's already predicting what I'm going to say. ISS Vanguard, I don't think, if I'm talking as a solo player, is actually the right game for me either. There's a little bit too much overhead. There's a little bit too much nuance in the decisions you're making. The story and the story arc and the beauty of the game is right there for me. I am
great.
sucked in, but I'm a little closer to something like Tainted Grail in the Awaken Realms lineup as far as how story versus mechanics operate, as opposed to something like this, which has a very heavy mechanic system. That being said, it is not just me playing this. And I think this is a perfect game for Shira and I to journey through
For sure.
as a couple, possibly on camera. Maybe we'll be coming back a year from now still talking about it. But I think this is a perfect game for her personality type and what she enjoys in games.
Yep.
She's a Euro. She's a puzzle solver. She's smarter than me in almost every single way. And I am a pressure luck. I'm a story. I can paint a picture with words in a way that she doesn't follow along with.
Very true.
You know,
Yep.
and so we enjoy playing games together, and we enjoy playing campaign games together for very different reasons. And this is a game that actually gives each one of us a role to play where I don't have to carry about the puzzle as much, and she'll make very good, smart decisions, and I know that. She'll make better decisions than me. And she doesn't have to care about the story as much because I'll remind her of those moments where we saw a flash in the back of the ship or those moments where something blew up. And she'll be able to be absorbed with and care about the journey we're going on through my experience. And I'll be able to trust that we're playing the mechanics correctly and carefully through hers. So with the couple and with the group that I have to play this game, I think it is actually a remarkably perfect game. Me as a solo player, I think the gameplay experience we had is enough for me to not want to dive back in and try to tackle everything myself.
Agreed.
So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
If I had a Shira, I would be playing it.
I think I'm going to see the end of this story because I think her and I are going to be able to journey through it.
I think you are.
So
I definitely agree.
I'm really excited about that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. This has been a Right For You, Wrong For You video. We try to do these on about a weekly basis. We're still working on getting them up and running.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Let us know what your thoughts, opinions, questions you have are down in the comment section down below. And like we said, we've done a ton of content on this game. Some of it sponsored, some of it not. And all of that is available for you to watch, check out, and double check our experience. These are our opinions. This is our verdict. But there is so much content out there that you're welcome to go do a litmus test on what our journey has been like. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing.
Get out and play some games.
Or double your money back. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.